Battle of Brands Hatch sort out the British Superbikes. There are just 4 races left this year. 3 men are still in contention. It may only be 1.2 miles long, but it's all action on the Indy circuit. JR takes us round. There is, of course, an alternative route, but it's not recommended. The Supersports Championship is a first that could be won this year. But the Superbikes are destined to go to the wire, and it didn't get any easier at Brands. It's been a hard-fought Superbike season. John Reynolds was the man to beat before Suzuki's Chris Walker and Ducati's Neil Hodgson tidied up their act and emerged as favourites for the title. They've toned down the more physical side of their racing, but if hostilities resume, JR is hovering to take the title from them. So this is the penultimate round, and the 3 top men are with me now on the grid. John Reynolds, you've led this series. You've got a bit of catch-up to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of work to be done, that's for sure, and what I need to do is try and win as many races as I can at the end of the year, but these 2 guys are riding really well, and that's not going to be easy, but we'll see what happens.
There's just 100 points left. Is that enough for you? You've got to rely on them making a mistake?
Yeah, I mean, if these 2 guys finish races now, then my championship really is gone. But I mean, I don't wish anything on the 2 of them. But nice if one of the bikes broke down, that's for sure.
Well, of course, you've been under the pressure. You've led the series, then you found that taken away from you. The next man that found himself in that position, Neil Hodgson. You've been absolutely flying this year, but you're 6 points adrift of the stalker. Now the stalkee.
Yeah, I don't feel like I've done anything wrong all year. I feel like I should still be leading the championship, but. Chris, certainly the last 3 rounds has rode out of his skin, and he's been very consistent, so that's why he's leading. So it is hard leading. Obviously you sometimes think about trying to protect your lead, but hopefully it's going to be easier following.
Chris, I think I said to you last time we spoke at Cadwell Park, you never ever give up, and you've got your just reward for that, haven't you?
Yeah, I mean, we've been battling away trying to close the gap in the championship. It's in some ways been a little bit easier for me because I've had to just go out and win races and try and, bridge the gap really. I was a lot of points behind at one stage, and John was doing a real good job finishing races and always getting on the rostrum, and it was not making the job any easier. But fortunately, with the team have worked really hard, and we've come up with a bit of a better package really for the second half of the season, and managed to get a few of those desperate race wins, and given us a chance and got us just in front in the championship.
Despite the public image, you 2 did aggravate each other earlier on in the season. That's a fact, I'm sure. I mean, obviously, PR-wise, you needed to not let it get out of control. You did aggravate each other. It seems to be a lot more friendly now. We've noticed that both of you are shaking hands at the end of races and the like. Is it much more friendly now?
Yeah, I mean, Neil knows I've never had a problem with him, and I've always said hello, I've always spoken to him. Everybody in the paddock are mates really, so that's pretty good. I think you've got to be. It's not like car racing where you just crash into people's wing mirrors. This is bike racing, and the job's hard enough as it is without trying to knock each other off. But Neil and I, we get on well now, and we did before, and I'm sure will for many years to come, hopefully. But it's still a desperate battle for the championship when all said and done.
Who's going to win this series? John first.
Me.
I'll be trying.
Me.
That's unanimous then. Qualifying coming up. Everyone's after pole position. It ain't easy, but don't take my word for it. Touching 155 mile an hour, right where I was standing, in 5th gear only, not 6 gears around Brands Hatch. We're into Paddock Hill Bend, back down 2 gears to 3rd. It's 100 miles an hour through there, and it's down the hill and up Hailwood Hill, holding 3rd gear all the way. Back 1 for Druids. That's 2nd gear then, 50 miles an hour, hold 2nd gear all the way through the right-hander, then down the hill, still in 2nd gear, 12,000 RPM on the limiter. Graham Hill Bend next, still 2nd gear, 65 miles an hour, out to the curb. Then it's a blast along Cooper Straight, up to 3rd gear, just on the limiter again, 140 miles an hour on the way into Surtees. Holding 3rd gear through McLaren and onto Clearways Corner now. 4,000 RPM all the way through to 12,000 RPM with the rear end spinning onto the Brabham Straight. 4th gear, then hooking 5th gear and back up to flat out past the pits. Neil McKenzie put himself in a good position on row 2. He's looking much more at home now on the Ducati, just when Hodgson could do with a teammate to back him up. Craggill, meanwhile, found himself eating sand on the Kawasaki, or rather off of it. Maybe it was Saturday's sunshine that was getting to them. David Jeffries proved he was prepared to go that little bit harder on the Yamaha. Perhaps a little too hard this time, but it paid off. It's been one hell of a learning curve for Paul Brown's Virgin Mobile team replacement. Claire Smith found out how he was feeling.
Well, DJ, it's been a good debut, really, hasn't it, into the Superbikes for you this year? Particularly qualifying's been quite good, hasn't it?
Yeah, we were going well in qualifying, then unfortunately on the 5 minutes to go we just lost the front of the hairpin and ended up in the gravel, but it's something and nothing. But yeah, I mean, qualifying's been going really well. It's a good team to work with. It's a Virgin Mobile team. Just the experience they've got, it's bringing the best out of me. And I'm, helping me work with suspension and tyres. And I've learned more in the last 3 meetings than I've learned all year. Just working with the team is just so good.
Steve Plater continued his superb climb up the Superbike pecking order with another good start position. People are taking notice, Steve. Carl Harris got a ride on John Croxford's Performance House Suzuki and promptly qualified as the fastest privateer. Croxford's broken leg will keep him out for the rest of the season. James Hayden was the first of the 4 usual suspects on the front row. But being a perfectionist, he wouldn't have been happy with the 4th fastest time. He looked pretty good though. 3rd fastest was the ever so consistent John Reynolds. He's riding as good as ever, but a big collision on Friday sent him and another rider up the road. The resultant injury now covered by Steve Plater's larger sized boot.
I was lying in bed last night thinking I'd broken my ankle, it was as bad as that, but I woke up this morning and it was quite painful. This morning was quite uncomfortable on the bike, but this afternoon wasn't too bad. I had a few pills and it worked out half decent.
Well, obviously, at one point you were lying on the 2nd row of the grid, which is not what you wanted, but you really did pull out some fast times there towards the end, didn't you?
Yeah, I saw James, my teammate, come out on the pit lane just as I was going on for a fast lap, and I knew for a fact he was going to get a toe off me. And he did that, and I saw on the pit board as we came past that he'd gone quicker than me off the toe. And I thought, well, I've just got to dig in and just hope I can break his toe, and I did, and it worked out in the end.
But pole position was once again disputed by Neil Hodgson and, of course, Chris Walker. Hodgson was 0.2 of a second faster than Walker in his first qualifying and looked for an even better bike setup next time out, but didn't improve on his time. Walker, with some spectacular riding, did. He knew pole was his.
We struggled a lot this morning and yesterday, and we changed a lot of things for the afternoon, and it seemed a lot more consistent, and we were fortunate enough to get a good timing right at the end. I think there was a bit of luck involved, a bit of clear track and stuff, so no, fair play to the boys. They did a lot of hard work at lunchtime, and the bike was much better this afternoon.
I'm not too bothered, believe that or not. I don't think the pole positions have given me that much luck, actually, certainly not the last 3 meetings, so it was a tactic. My tactic was to start from 2nd.
Yeah, we'll believe you, we'll believe you. How are you finding it round here? Obviously, you've got a fairly good amount of track time in here this year. Yeah,
it's good. I feel a lot stronger here now than I did at the start of the year. Obviously after the World Superbike here, it feels really, really good, and I'm enjoying riding round. I'm pretty confident really for the race. It's always about trying to find the right tyre, but with race tyres, I think I'm the fastest rider out there, and obviously that's the most important.
That's assuming you can use racing slicks, of course. After a glorious Saturday came a grim Sunday. As the heavens opened over a huge crowd, all eyes were diverted to Rain Man. Yes, Michael Rutter has beaten the world's best at Brands. Could he do it again? With the temperature plummeting and the track damp, wet race rules were officially declared. This was not the Brands Hatch we wanted. With no wet testing, a short practice session began with a debate over what tyres to use. The track was only damp and could dry out at any moment. It was a nightmare, especially as the choice could make or break the championship. While the teams went through agony, the fans speculated who'd be good in the wet. Favourites were Hodgson and Walker. And of course there was the winner of a wet World Superbike round this year. Yes, Australia's Anthony Gobert would be desperate to make up for Mallory. And of course, Level 3 Yamaha's Michael Rutter. What a scenario.
Well, because of the weather conditions and 5 minutes wet practice, warm-up started from pit lane and we have no grid walk. I can tell you that the front row of this grid is exactly as they line up in the championships. It's all between these two guys though, Hodgson and Walker.